Welcome to From Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. This is a space for honest conversation, for moments when something inside feels heavy or disconnected. Each episode features practitioners and wellness spaces sharing the intention behind their work so you can feel into what resonates and discover support you can experience directly. Wherever you're arriving from today, you are welcome here. Welcome to another episode From Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. Today's guest is not only a teacher, but also a healer. And I know in this world we try to understand what that means, and I'm sure we're going to dive into that conversation. But I really want to start with this in knowing that every single person is a healer in your own right. You might not be able to do the exact same thing as another person, but there is magic inside of you. And I'm so grateful that Stephanie decided to be on this podcast as she also shares that with her community and recognizing how much more there is inside of every single one of us. So, welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful. Really appreciate being here.
Me too. I am so grateful for you to showing up and being willing to share your story because I truly believe that when we are sharing from our hearts, someone else is receiving that moment of I'm not alone. So before we really go into the conversation, please introduce yourself for our listeners.
So I go by Stephanie Heartsong, and that's my Heartsong is my medicine name. I also have a last name, Stephanie Scheid, as a teacher, Ontario certified teacher. And I really try to blend education and holding a space for people at a spiritual inner life level. And I do so for the kids as well, as I'm presently definitely engaged in bringing what I love to do into the classroom and into schools at large. So it's a wonderful thing to try to combine who you are by just being present with it and sharing it.
The power of presence is beyond measures.
Yes, true, true.
It teaches us that in the most magical ways, I find.
I actually put it as a signature where children are our greatest teachers. So that's how I sign every email at school. So I do
Love
agree
that.
with that statement. Wonderful. True.
Amazing. Now, Stephanie, in your own journey, what was your loneliness or disconnection moment that led you into overflow?
I think it was actually well over 30 years ago. Um, I was taking a Reiki class and I wasn't doing it for myself. It just took me there, met someone, and I was hoping to heal somebody in my family, hold that space for somebody in my family. And it was in the final being placed on that table where a whole five people put their hands on me and a wave of sadness, emptiness, despair, self loathing, all of the emotions that we contain. I felt them all at the same time. And nothing gave it reason but being in a space where I would finally let myself feel. That was crazy. And of course, it took a lot of chaos and a very difficult relationship I was dealing with and wanting to exit for me to place myself in that situation. So I felt it was being lonely within myself was reflected in all of my relationships. And it was at that key moment of healing that I was able to see and feel a wave of memories and moments from the past, interactions, dynamics with people, and realizing that the only thing that was in common through all of them was my own perception, my own emptiness, my own inability to want to open Pandora's box because I wanted to control it all. And so through laughter and through niceness and through service and being kind to people, I was at the same time burying what I was truly feeling. And hence healing became really intrinsic in everything and every deepest part of my being at a cellular level, boy. I could really feel it. And that's when the transformation began and the overflow set in.
It is a very crucial moment when we allow ourselves to feel.
Mm.
And our
Oh,
mind
yeah.
kicks in almost like this safeguard, like, no, don't go there. We don't know what's behind that door or we that behind that Pandora box that we have closed and locked and locked and locked again. So we don't want to go there. Don't go there. But I'm curious to ask, in that moment where you have 4 to 5 people putting their hands on you, and you instantly feeling all the depth of these emotions, do you remember what your brain was saying and how maybe quickly you wanted to get off that table or wanted them to get away from you?
My God. I was so terrified. I was terrified before I walked into the room. I'm there, what is my problem? But here's the thing, okay? The depth of the issues I had to do with relationships with male energy. It was 4 males who walked in and a male teacher who was in that room with me. I'm telling you, my God, was it was terrifying. I'm there. No, 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 no. There's like 4 other women outside in this class. What the heck is going on? I know. I know. That was, so the mind is going, I'm terrified. I can't believe this is happening. And it was key because I realized one, that I had memories of abuse from the time I was 2, that I have brought this with me from other lives, if your readers and your listeners can relate to that. And I had no idea that I was truly more comfortable just with women because I had always, you know, been um, been with men until I recognized that I really, and in that moment, needed to forgive and forgive and forgive the men in my life and the needs as a woman in my own being. That was unbelievable. And it was a journey
I
in
bet.
that moment.
It is terrifying. It is not only terrifying, it is also this pain that comes up of the past that has nothing to do with that present moment or of those 4 men that walked in or the teacher that walked in. But this I love this saying that our body keeps the score because our body does remember and it does go back into memory lane into, oh my God, this is not safe, not okay. What are you doing? Get out. What made you decide to not walk out of that room?
I think it was the safe space that the person held who was basically providing the class. I believe that the only time truly that we could face ourselves is if we're in our own safe space. And the only place I could really decide to do that was in my heart. My mind can panic. The butterflies, are felt in the abdomen. The only time is that when you truly believe that you can trust and feel safe, even if you have to build and put us trust and put aside some of the fears, as long as you're held in a space of respect and authenticity, then the mind is able to say, okay, I will allow this because I'm tired of not dealing with the truth within myself, because it's only within myself that I could discover what really needed to happen. And these individual energetically just held the space for me to delve in. So that was the most powerful moment in my mind. And I wasn't a healer back then. I was open to connecting with that. I was raised in a loving home. So I had a good foundation. The abuse came from being pretty and having people target me. And so it became difficult actually in wanting to hide myself and my inner beauty
Yeah.
because people judged so much. And I was feeling that as part of what I was trying to heal, to be comfortable, sovereign with who I am, where kindness is seen first rather than judgments of what my smile means. How about that? You know?
What my smile means.
Hmm.
There's so much pain and depth behind those words, and I can feel how much you have worked on that pain component. But one thing that's very important to highlight here is in that beautiful, blissful, uncomfortable moment, you were also blessed with feeling and experiencing what it means to have a sovereign, masculine energy all around you.
Yeah.
Men who are very respectful, men who hold space from a place of service, from a
Right.
place of sovereignty, care,
Hmm.
and that's when the duality happened, right? Because when you only are aware of difficult moments and difficult men and difficult experiences, even though all of those men are suffering in their own ways, and
Hmm.
you're being shown the other side of it, where the men come really truly from this energy of service, this energy of seeing a person and not a body, not the physicality of things, but really truly seeing a soul.
Yeah. It was really momentous in realigning me with the masculine and feminine divine. As you're talking about energy, in order to feel more balanced and at peace and being able to let go of hurt, it was essential for me to experience that safety with the people who were present. And you're absolutely right. For us to really forgive and not have something consume us, it's essential to go right to the edge of whatever pattern and judgment and feelings of anger and et cetera, et cetera. All of those came through. And then in that safe space that these men, these gentle men, held for me, I was able to see the role I played, my
Mm.
interactions, my thoughts, my emotional creation of hurt and intolerance and hiding. So it's so beautiful to be able to have a deeper sense of awareness and understanding, comprehension that leads you to completely connecting with that which is to forgive. And I mean, that energy was able to help me with people who came to me after for me to hold the space for another. You have to actually go through it.
Yeah.
And so the loneliness, people who had incestual experiences, people who had been raped, people who had had all kinds of those kinds of experiences were connecting with me. I didn't experience incest in this life, but on that table during that session, I experienced myself in another life with my grandfather, and a 14-year-old me had given birth to a child and died. Like it is, to me, there's no such thing as linear time. So I look at past, present, and future as being all in that moment. Like my whole existence became pivotal in that session for that self realization and awareness and healing. And it gave me tools to work with myself and go through that, but then to be able to help others. So, really, what's this about? It's about feeling what you're doing, it's about feeling that piece of loneliness that connects us all because beneath the skin is the essence of our hearts. And if our hearts are encased in loneliness, pain, judgment, fear, reaction, I mean, how can you help another? So I love this. I love the podcast for holding that space, you know?
Is so important because in this life at this moment, there are so many people suffering in silence.
Hmm.
And we just are seeking. We're all seekers. In our own ways, we're all seekers. And then you have these divine orchestrations of opportunities and experiences like, what just happened? Did I just allow that? How did I allow it? And that is exactly what you're sharing, Stephanie, where it was orchestrated in a way that your higher self, if you will, knew it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And for those who are listening who are like, I don't believe in past lives, I don't believe in that we reincarnate. That's okay. You
Hmm.
believe what you believe, and that is absolutely okay.
Yeah.
What we are sharing here is an experience that Stephanie believes to be true. I believe to be true. And take it for what you want right now, but just know that as time evolves, you might get an experience at one point of your life, you're just like, that's what they meant. Just be open for that moment when and if it comes, because it will liberate you even more. Stephanie, you mentioned at the beginning how you chose your last name to be Heartsong.
Yes.
And I feel there's a connection to this word and to what you just shared.
Yes.
So
Yes. Okay. My spirit name, when I was burning through all of uh, the emotional baggage, I received that name when I went on a vision quest, and it's something that I valued to do. And in the fire, I saw this beautiful log I had brought, but it had chemicals on it I didn't know. I had been touched by things. So there was this green light emanating from this fire. And I said, my God, my heart feels so appreciative of this. And I said, that's my name, my spirit name, Heartfire. Now, for 5 years, Heartfire was how I signed my spirit name. And I was starting to change my practice. I was doing a lot of vocalizations. I was speaking. I was spontaneously singing songs with the children, with people. My practice became one of chanting, of introducing crystal bowls. So things began to shift. And I went for another ceremony, but this one was an all night ceremony that I did with a shaman. And in that time, I experienced what it was to be completely still. And the word was, I have to find my song. My heart has to be with my song. Oh my God. Thank you. It was like a God given gift because I held this space for myself. And I had decided to do something, a ceremony that was very traditionally held by a shaman, but I was scared to do but I understood in that moment of tapping into that realm of really transforming my practice and myself and it acknowledged the healing that I had done before. So my consciousness shifted from, yes, I'm in the earth element. I'm going to burn through life. I'm going to get that fiery energy and be able to transmute, transform, and kind of be like the phoenix out of the ashes. But when it was time to settle, it was time to teach, it was time to step into a new age of myself as I was getting older, Heart Song emerged. And I'm super blessed. I wanted to change my name completely to Heart Song, but it didn't honor my family. So I just said, okay, it's my spirit name and I'm really comfortable with it. So
that's so
thanks for
beautiful.
asking. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for sharing. Find that there is such a unique healing power in our voice. So often we don't appreciate our own voice, our own tone, and how we sound. And we can't oftentimes hear back our own voice in a voicemail or something like that. And it's like,
Mhm.
why is that?
That is a good question. You want me to explore that with you?
Do that.
All right. So I consider our voice our soul note. When you hear yourself in your dreams, in meditation, when you hear the little judgment happening on the right shoulder and, the little devil and angel, it's our soul. Our soul note. It doesn't matter how old you are, even though you think of yourself of what it was like to be that little child. it's still in the same intonation in your mind as you are now. When we hear our voices and we don't like it, as you mentioned, it is because we haven't embraced something within us at a higher way of connecting, connecting with your higher self or that consciousness that is not to impose, but to create that inner connection to your heart, to your mind, to your everyday actions. Your voice is where you can free yourself and express loving intention, loving action, compliments, gratitude, prayer, speaking or hiding. And when your voice quivers, there's attachment. When your voice is comfortable. There's a deep body knowledge, like in kinesiology, when you muscle test something, you can muscle test through your voice, through the power of whether your voice comes from here or is from here.
Yeah.
Your comfort level with yourself is always expressed. And the more power and resonance and softness and stillness that you can bring in balance, it indicates just how well you feel connected to that flow of the divine through your heart and your expression of that through your voice. I hope that makes sense.
It does to me because even when I look back at when I started my coaching business in 2019, I did not want to make and create pictures and videos of myself. I didn't want to hear back those videos. Even this podcast, I resisted creating this podcast for 3 full years. And it kept coming
Right.
back, kept coming back, it kept coming back. But what I didn't recognize is throughout these last 5 years, I actually got to appreciate how I speak, how I sound,
Hmm.
how I am a very deep listener and can pick up the notions of what someone else is saying and then even not saying,
Hmm.
and be in that energy of that's what it is. This is what it sounds like. This is what it feels like. What I am evolving into right now, which I'm so like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. Let's go. But I'm in this playful experience now where when I'm in meditation, I'm invited to make sound
Hmm.
and to
Yes.
hear that sound and feel the vibration and how my body responds to those sounds.
So it's all about raising your frequency. And now we're changing. We're all changing and we change and transform. That's the only thing you can trust in life is that we're changing. And as soon as you bring sound into play, especially when it's an internalization and externalization of your own sounds, it's the most powerful way to deal with the changes within yourself. And it inspires yourself and others, what you're sharing
I
in
believe that. I truly believe that our voice is our own medicine.
oh, totally. I totally, totally do agree with that. And I think that we're more and more going to see how we step into sounding as therapeutic way to freeing yourself of emotions and thoughts that no longer serve.
Yeah. One interesting thing that you shared from your own journey is how you had to create space and hold space for the deep emotions and feel them. I'm a believer, Stephanie, that we have 4 bodies. Our mental body, well, our physical body, of course, that we can see, our mental body, the way we think, our emotional body, and then our spiritual body.
Hmm.
We cannot surpass our mental or our emotional bodies and pretend things are okay until the death of time. We will be presented with so many opportunities and situations and circumstances that will pull us into that next phase of our lives. From what you shared, your very first phase, your initiation, if you will, was that moment, the very first moment where you felt what was the next initiation for you that led you now to helping people?
Well, at the end of the session, I turned around to the person who was closest to me and I said, I have to teach this. It took all of that from wanting to help my mom by just learning something to completely changing my life. It completely changed my life. So sometimes it takes a long time to come to a place where you make those changes. But I knew right from the start, after I had that epiphany and release, I wanted to do this. And I jump into things. I'm a Gemini. It doesn't take me long to go, oh, I want some more of that. And as a result, with that intention in mind, that's when everything falls apart and has to reconstruct you. And so it took many years of going through the many layers of the onion. And as I helped one person, I was helped. So we do that which we need. I became a person who others sought out for advice, for coaching, for energy work, for sound healing. All of that became part of my life as what is my passion, my purpose, my love, my bliss. But in the process, it transformed me altogether. And every time I dealt with one layer of my onion, I climbed up a different stairwell. And all of a sudden, a whole new, different relationship would take place in my life with one and another. So it's what we do. It's the more spirit flows through you and you allow that to happen in your life and invite it to be in the forefront and you surrender the stuff that just really doesn't serve you.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, we have to identify it and we have our attachments, but as soon as you realize it's an attachment, a habit that doesn't serve you, after you read Atomic Habits, it's just you start getting clearer and clearer and clearer and gentler and gentler and gentler and more tolerant and more loving and more forgiving and more grateful. And it takes a long time, but I believe now with the rise in consciousness in our lives, in our environment, on the world, I think that we have the polarization in our minds, but we have our hearts leading the way. And I think that as we cope with letting go of what's no longer serving us here, even as a society, because that polarization's there all the time. When we choose this more and more and more, it completely transforms our relationship to what's here. So that's where I'm at, is I'm trying to share with people as many, many, many healers, practitioners, speakers, spiritualists, people like you. I think that's what we're doing, is just helping one person at a time go in and feel more compassion and love and understanding within themselves and with the people they're involved with. And so that's it for me.
You mentioned forgiveness multiple times. What does forgiveness mean to you?
Forgiveness means acknowledging a situation that has helped you. And I'll say helped, even though it might have tortured you, that has helped you move to a different place in your heart. So forgiveness is essential for the self, not necessarily that you need to go and share and tell that person, forgive you, but it's about oneself being able to forgive the self for having been in that situation. Because I've come to a place now where I understand I am as much a creator. I am of the situations in my life. I am in contract or in arrangements with those triggers and those people who have been petty tyrants in my life. They are a part of how I learn, I grow, and I move beyond it to the point where you just take the backpack off and it doesn't impact you at all, but it's completely changed what color glasses you wear when you look at life. And in hindsight, you are grateful for something that might have been really hard to take in a moment, but that once forgiven, once addressed, and once unconditional love starts to be joined in, then that gratitude and forgiveness, compassion and love become one thing.
Mm.
And I hold that higher space for people to understand that, because I practice that all the time.
What would you say, Stephanie, to someone who's holding on to a painful experience and is not ready or willing to forgive?
First of all, you have to be present with what is. The moment of that occasion that has taken place in your life, kind of encapsulate it. But what happens when you encapsulate it? You're carrying it around everywhere. So, in order to begin to break through, just as a chick breaks through the egg, you have to see where the cracks are, where the light can begin to work from within. And I believe that as you see and ask yourself, how can I shift? That's all you need to do is asking yourself the question, how can I shift in the most minute way today? And that's when the process begins. You begin to experience the situation more from the eye of the hurricane, where the turmoil, the emotions can have been gone all around. But at one point, your forgiveness to yourself and to maybe something else that happened in your life allows you to carry that load, but in around you as opposed to inside you. And when the thing starts to unfold, when you allow the emotions to come up, then all of a sudden you're attracting different people, different circumstances. You're attracting things that resonate with that experience to break it free and break it down and crack the shell wide open completely. So, the one thing I would say to wrap that up, because that was kind of complicated, I would just say allow yourself to feel it, be present with it, and go through your grief, your anger, all the different stages that you feel, but always ask for something greater than you. So surrender in a moment and ask for help from if we're all connected, if we are affected by everyone around us, why not ask ourselves and our higher self to work together to free you to feel more comfortable and loving in life, regardless of what happened, but to make the now better.
So good. It's a completely different way of looking at it when you are searching for the cracks, when you are searching for a different perspective and you're allowing that perspective, that light point come in and really reshape everything from the inside out. Breakthrough.
Yeah. Yeah,
So good.
absolutely.
Ritual on this podcast where I get to
Okay.
ask you a question where the previous guest has left. So, your question for today is, what is the true definition of strength to you outside of being a strong mom, partner, employee, etc.?
Okay, the true definition of strength to me is being able to show your vulnerability and to be comfortable with yourself regardless of what's in your environment. The strength is there and it shows up in every aspect of your life when you are able to trust that it is you that holds the key. That would be
Beautifully.
my inspiration for that.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing your experience. And
Thank you for having me.
you're so welcome. I really truly feel that the listener can gain the insight. There's so many insights, but the one insight that's coming to mind right now for me personally is yes, we can be in a situation where our mind goes into fight or flight. But when we are taking a deep breath, ask yourself that question, just like you did, Stephanie. Is this okay? Am I ready to break through? And then, if that means feeling deeply, feel deeply. If that means screaming it out, using your voice, do that. Loving your voice, do that. Being vulnerable, being forgiving for you more than anything else, do that. And I'm so, so, so grateful for you sharing so authentically, Stephanie, because what you went through wasn't necessarily an easy experience, but it was definitely a liberating. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners. Thank you for joining. For anyone who feels inspired, who has questions, all the information about Stephanie Heartsong is in the description below. Connect, reach out, ask questions. We are so grateful to serve you in this amazing, beautiful way. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for spending your time here. Sharing your reflections in the comments or passing this conversation along helps this space reach people who are looking for support and don't always know where to turn. Take a breath as you transition back into your day and notice what's present now. I'll meet you again next week.